Hello. This video is largely about Islam in two ways. The main part of it is my views on the halal story that came out last week with the supermarkets, many of them selling halal meat, in particular lamb. But the other part was since Boris's burqa comment, I have noticed a lot more people on social media, and for me social media is YouTube and Facebook. I don't do anything else. But so on Facebook, I obviously share lots of comments about Islam in many other forms, and other stuff about political correctness, whatever gets my goat really. And it's always the usual suspects that would chip in. And so out of a friend base of something like 150 on Facebook, which isn't very many, I wouldn't have thought, there's always really just sort of 2 or 3. But in the last few weeks, a lot more people, I'd say maybe more than a dozen, regularly commenting on what's going on with Islam, and it's good. And making fun of the burqa. You know, why can't we make fun of it? It's ridiculous. I put comments on there about like it's okay, we can make fun of Scotsmen for wearing little skirts and Welshmen for loving sheep, and Irish for being a bit thick, and you know, Germans with their silly gay leather shorts, just to prove a point that no one was getting offended. They're just either ignoring or laughing along. Anyway, so I noticed that with the BBC's story about Didsbury Mosque, also that's emboldened people. People are getting very, very upset about this now. Obviously, if you're watching this and you have been doing this sort of stuff for a while, like me, you've been upset for a long time. But it's beginning to reach people now, and especially because BBC did this story, that's going to really reach a lot of people. I hope they continue it. I somehow doubt it, but you never know. Saw a story about a mosque being burnt down in Sweden. Now, it's the last thing I want is to see buildings being burnt down in this country. But I will say it's coming. If the authorities, government, and our ministers and our civil service don't start acting to make sure that they investigate all the mosques, any hate preachers, the mosque has to close until they can show, they can't reopen until they can show exactly who's going to be speaking, what the history is, and you know, it's all just a bit nicer, please. That's all we're looking for. So that will be massive, because then that will seriously reduce the amount of radicalised young men who hate us. So yeah, that's that. But if I believe that Didsbury Mosque at some stage, if it doesn't get shut down now, probably it will burn, and I think that could kickstart something like a civil war, and that could be me being a bit dramatic. But when I say civil war, I don't mean nationwide. I just mean sporadically, tit for tat, Muslims and non-Muslims. So I really, really don't want that to happen. I desperately want to avoid all the violence, but I think if Miss Didsbury Mosque doesn't close down, that's coming. Anyway, so the halal thing. So for those that don't know, a story came out last week about all supermarkets, Tesco's in particular, having quite a lot of halal meat, not just the lamb from New Zealand, but other meats as well. And previously I saw signs where they were lying as well about, I would say, oh, we only have a little bit and we make sure everything's labelled. No, there was a table brought up, the Telegraph did it, about what the supermarkets, what halal meats they do sell, and if it's labelled properly, and it's quite damning. And I don't think there are any innocent parties. I think Witherspoon's pub chain was, a fair play if that's the case. But anyway, I don't agree with halal, because it's not because it's related to Islam. Obviously there's kosher as well, which I disagree with. I disagree with it because even though I like meat, if I can, I love animals, and I don't want animals to suffer any more than they have to. And I want, you know, decades probably of the animal welfare in the abattoir and a slaughtering business and a farming industry has tried to reduce the suffering to animals. Quite right. You know, eggs, we all know if, oh, this egg's a happy egg, you know, along those lines. And I think that's really important. but we've got this one very, very quickly growing industry of it, the halal side, which we still don't know exactly where all the money goes to. Is some of this money going to fund unpleasant activities? Quite likely. So I want it gone. I want it banned because they're not stunning the animals. Animals have got to be stunned before they're killed. It's obvious, right? Iconoclast got on this a little while ago. I'm not sure what his progress is, actually. I know he started a petition and stuff. And my thoughts on it, I think there's the obvious case of just boycotting the supermarkets. Let them know. Make it a bit awkward in the shop. If you're up to it, if you feel up to it, you don't have to be difficult, but you can just say, excuse me. You can be really middle class and nice about it. I saw this story in the Telegraph that the supermarket's got halal meat. Is that true? Can you assure us that you don't have any, please? And and what's labelled? Because I just don't want to buy any meat. You can be like that way. You don't have to come across as an activist like you might be, and they'll get the message, because that member of staff will feel awkward as hell, and they will report that to the line manager, because they'll want to pass on that hot potato immediately, or even a store manager. And if the management in hotels in supermarkets got to start dealing with this on a day-to-day basis, and several people coming up, they're gonna seriously pass it on to head office and say, look, we need to have a serious look at what we're doing here, because we're getting a lot of strife. And I intend to go in them and see if I can video it and ask them, and I'll just say to them, say like, okay, if I find a supermarket nearby that definitely doesn't have any halal, I'm going to do all my shopping in there until you can show me sob my nectar points. I'll shop there until you can prove that you're halal free and kosher free. Let's not make it one side or the other. I'm against unstunned slaughter. Anyway, that's it really. But any other thoughts? This is where I'm opening it across to you. Ideas for how to do it. Oh, sorry, one that just comes to mind. If we really feel up to it, you get some leaflets, and you can actually stand outside the supermarket, so you know they're selling it, and actually tell shoppers as they're coming in, by the way, the meat in here is halal. And that'll seriously do some damage. Anyway, this one's over. Give me your comments and your thoughts, and thumbs up, subscribe, and all that stuff. Thank you. Goodbye.